Twitter, Facebook, Google, YouTube, whatever, all of these companies have pledged to stop voter or election manipulation. And in doing so, they've only made it worse. A lot of the hysteria around the voter manipulation stuff in Russia came from a firm that is now known to have fabricated data and been called out for it. In fact, the CEO of this company, it's been a while since I reported this, was suspended or banned from Facebook, and several people got banned from Facebook. I even brought this up to Jack Dorsey, that these firms were making fake Russian bots to swing US elections and manipulate voter turnout. So Twitter says, we're going to do better. We're going to ban disinformation. Now, here's the thing. There's this meme. It says, don't let Russia interfere in 2020, demand voter ID. These memes are getting banned, reportedly. This story is from Human Events, saying, Twitter AI censors conservative voter ID meme. There have been fake memes in the past that try to look like the DNC and says something that might dissuade or present a silly idea that some people might think is funny, but actually could have repercussions on our elections. However, my understanding with this meme image is that it's not pretending at all to be Democrat or anything. It's saying, don't let Russia interfere in 2020, demand voter ID. The idea is kind of incorrect, but you can't really, so I guess it's fair to say they're making a joke and playing up the idea that people are scared about Russia interfering, so everyone should have an ID to vote. But I don't see why this should be banned. They're spreading an idea about why voter ID is important. If Russia is interfering in our elections, shouldn't we have voter ID? Several people have, I've seen the tweets, I've seen the images, reportedly been banned for tweeting just the hashtag demand voter ID. Now that's scary. And I've seen some images. I don't know exactly why or how many. I've seen reports, and there's been a ton of viral tweets talking about this. I have seen people who have not been banned for posting the hashtag, so I don't know what's actually going on. What I can say is, if it's true that Twitter is banning people who use the hashtag demand voter ID, we are beyond the gates of the dystopia. Like, we're living in the dystopia. So let's read the story from Human Events. Before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address. But of course, the best thing you can do is just share this video, because YouTube is deranking independent political commentary, propping up the big corporate players. So if you like this video, the only way, it gets around and the only way my channel grows is if you guys are willing to share it. So if you are, do so. Otherwise, let's read the news. Twitter is preventing US citizens from sharing certain political images. Ian Miles Chong writes, Twitter has a new feature that automatically suspends anyone who shares certain meme images, including one which calls for the implementation of voter ID laws. Word of this new form of censorship made the rounds today on Gab, an alternative social network to Twitter, after several posters complained they were subject to 12-hour bans on Twitter for posting an image that reads, "Don't let Russia interfere in 2020. It concludes with the hashtag demand voter ID. Several Human Events readers informed us that they were able to replicate the suspensions by tweeting out the image, as were others on Twitter who tested it on secondary accounts to verify the claim. Independent journalist Aaron Lockhart provided us with evidence of his findings. We can see this tweet here. Hi, Aaron Lockhart, your account, a rabbit or duck, I get it, yeah, has been locked for violating the Twitter rules, specifically for violating our rules against posting misleading information about voting. You may not post content providing false information about voting or registering to vote. It's not. It's an image of Putin and it says, don't let Russia interfere in 2020. What's wrong with that? We shouldn't let Russia interfere. Now, it is true, it is fair to point out, there's no concern about Russians coming to the polls and voting themselves. So it seems like these ideas are a bit disparate, but this is a really important thing to bring up. Are you allowed to be wrong? The answer is no. Let's say somebody made this legitimately like, oh man, we shouldn't let Russia interfere and Russia's, falsely voting. Are they wrong, stupid, or trying to mislead you? Who makes that determination? If I tweet something out because I'm just stupid, okay, as many people would like to claim, for sure. If I stupidly tweet something, should I be banned? Should stupid people not be allowed to use social media? This is one thing I've highlighted over and over again about how dangerous it is to call for the banning of people based on fake news. Look, man, I hate fake news more than anybody else. I am the king of hating fake news, but I'm also I also find it disconcerting when somebody tweets something just because they're dumb and then Twitter bans them. Not only that, don't let Russia interfere. What if people actually found that online? We're like, hey, that's actually a good idea and a good argument for why we need voter ID. Twitter's now banning them. Regardless of whether you think the meme is silly, it's a legitimate political stance. I don't care how or why Russia is interfering in elections. Voter ID will only strengthen our elections, right? How does that not make sense? Well, Twitter is going to ban you, apparently. The story goes on. It cost me my first Twitter suspension, but I can confirm that there is a particularly aggressive AI at work on Twitter right now, he says. It is targeting a particular meme. Robert Barnes shared a tweet from Gab about it. I decided to test it to see if rumor was true. If it was rumor or true. Okay. My account was suspended for violating our rules against posting misleading information about voting. Another reader says that he sent his senator a tweet asking him to support voter ID with the image attached. Surely this is illegal electoral interference with my ability to communicate with my member of Congress. It is unclear whether Twitter is suspending anyone who posts an image that's already been flagged by the system, or whether the social media platform has implemented a way to read text within any given image. Regardless of whether it is one or the other, what's certain is that the highly aggressive system is being deliberately used to target conservative support for voter ID laws. The story goes on. The call for voter ID laws is a contentious political topic that has divided lines between conservatives and liberals, the latter of whom argue that requiring some form of voter ID is indeed a form of voter suppression. According to a survey conducted by The Atlantic and the Public Religion Research Institute, Black and Hispanic Americans are more likely than white to face barriers at the polls as a result of any such requirement. A major study published in 2014, as reported by the National Review, shows that about 1/4 of non-citizens who participated in the survey were registered to vote, favoring Democratic candidates by a landslide. It stands to reason that Democrats benefit from the participation of non-citizens, that the party would be opposed to any form of voter ID laws. Well, look, you can make that argument. I'm not here to argue any conspiracies, and I think it's pointless to bring this up. I don't care to argue about the concept of voter ID for the most part, but I will get into it a little bit. If you think we need voter ID laws, the last thing you should do is accuse Democrats of getting non-citizens to vote. That is a huge leap, and it will make Democrats cry conspiracy theory. There's a simple reason why we should have IDs to vote, because you need an ID for everything, and voting is one of the most sacred institutions in this country. If I need an ID to go see a movie, and yes, I've been carded at the movies recently, I guess they thought I was under 17, well, it makes sense to require an ID to vote. If you need an ID to to sign up with the electric company, to get to even get your car registered, I'm pretty sure voting is more important than all of these things. Why shouldn't you need an ID to vote? I think it's, look, I think the solution is actually really simple. We should have voter ID laws, but we should also decrease the barrier to getting to getting an ID. And look, I'm sorry, at a certain point, it's your responsibility to get an ID. I can't imagine there are people who don't bother going to get IDs who do bother to go vote. That seems kind of weird. You know what I mean? Don't argue about the non-citizen things. I think that's pointless, because that just sounds like a conspiracy. Whether you think it's real or not doesn't matter. The point is, make your position on voter ID on principle, efficiency, and voter security. That's all that matters. So I do think it's silly, the idea that, and the rhetoric being pushed by the Democrats is a bit racist in my opinion. But let's read the end. They say, in an ironic twist, it's concerning, therefore, that Twitter is now attempting to suppress the voices of any American citizen calling for the preservation of democracy in the United States from being undermined by forces both foreign and hostile. I don't think this article needed the last little bit at the end. I think the important takeaway is, I don't care what your political opinion is. I don't care if you're an idiot or a genius. If you think Russia is going to vote, so you want voter ID laws, that's your political opinion and your right. Twitter is now taking people down for calling for a legitimate policy position simply because they're putting Russia in it. I'm sorry, that makes no sense. If I made a meme right now and said aliens are trying to undermine our election, require DNA testing, would they ban that? Okay, maybe they would, but then my point stands. Do we tell people who are stupid or crazy you do not have a right to speak in public and advocate for policy positions? That is where things get weird, and it's coming from the left. It is not the right, for the most part, saying crazy people can't vote, although I think maybe a lot of people would agree. I don't know. The point is right now, Twitter is removing things they don't like, even if it's a legitimate opinion. Look, man, Google took down Tulsi Gabbard's advertising account. We're going to see more of this. And you know what? In my opinion, the reason the left doesn't care is because they're reaping the advantages of it. I'd be willing to bet in an inverted situation, you'd have the right saying similar things. We've seen it all the time. They've played these videos on the left where it's like, you know, a conservative pundit criticizing Obama for trying to meet with Kim Jong-un or something, but then praising Trump for doing the same thing. Welcome to tribal politics. Let's act on principle. Right now, we've got a serious problem with big tech interfering in elections. How about we don't let them do that? I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next video will be at 4 p.m. youtube.com/timcast. It's a different channel, and I will see you all there.